You know, it feels like everywhere you look these days, someone's screaming about a conspiracy. Your uncle on Facebook is convinced lizard people run the government. Your friend swears the moon landing was fake. And some people are even worried that their phones are brainwashing them. And honestly, who can blame them? It seems like every day there's a new story that makes you go, wait, what? Things have gotten so wild that even the idea of brainwashing doesn't sound as crazy as it used to. Back in the 50s and 60s, the CIA actually ran a real-life mind control program called MK Ultra, where they gave people LSD and tried to see if they could turn them into spies. It sounds like a movie plot, but it actually happened. I read about it online. Trust me, bro.
You suck, you jackass.
Howdy, thanks for clicking on this video to see what this jackass has to say. I appreciate you. Thanks for checking out this video. My name's Chris, and I'm just here to make watchable videos with opinions people like to tell me are wrong all the time. And if you're one of those people who can't get enough of this stuff, who loves diving down rabbit holes and questioning reality, then you're in the right place. I've put together a list of the 10 absolute best movies about mind control and brainwashing that will completely fuck with your head. I added a little bit of everything from secret government programs to corporate advertising that literally gets inside your brain. Some films are popular, some are obscure, and all are absolutely must watch. So hop on board with me as we go through 10 films that perfectly capture the feeling of paranoia, a suspicion that someone somewhere is pulling the strings. Now let's get into it. Coming in at number 10, we've got Get Out. This is the movie that basically launched Jordan Peele from comedy sketch guide to horror mastermind overnight. Now look, I gotta be honest with you, this movie is good, but some people online act like it's the greatest cinematic achievement since Citizen Kane. And personally, I'm just not buying that level of hype. Don't get me wrong, it's a solid, thought-provoking film with some genuinely creepy moments, but I'm gonna pump the brakes on calling it a masterpiece.
God, you're a dumbass.
Anyway, the brainwashing in Get Out is actually brutal and creative. The Armitage family uses hypnosis to send victims into what they call the sunken place. It's a terrifying mental void where you're conscious but completely powerless to control your own body. It's like being trapped in your own head while someone else drives. The family then performs this procedure called coagula, where they literally transplant white people's brains into black bodies, keeping just enough of the original consciousness alive so the victim can experience being a passenger in their own stolen life. It's psychological horror at its most disturbing. The idea that you're still in there screaming, but nobody can hear you. What I think makes it work so well is how Peele uses the sunken place as a metaphor for marginalization in general. But again, while it's clever and well acted, I mean, Daniel Kaluuya is fantastic. I think the internet's tendency to overpraise anything with social commentary has inflated this movie's reputation beyond what it actually deserves. But hey, that's just my opinion.
Well, it's not very good, is it?
Coming in at number 9, we've got The Manchurian Candidate. And here's what I love about this one. We actually get two incredible versions of the same story. The 1962 original with Frank Sinatra and the 2004 remake with Denzel Washington. And both are absolutely fantastic in their own ways. What's brilliant, I think, is how they took the same core premise, a brainwashed soldier programmed as a sleeper assassin, but completely transformed the context while keeping that spine-tingling paranoia intact. The 62 version gives us Cold War terror with communist brainwashing during the Korean War, while the 2004 version updates it to corporate manipulation with Manchurian Global, using implants and psychological conditioning. Both films feature incredible casts. You got Sinatra, Lawrence Harvey, and Angela Lansbury in the original. Then Denzel, Liev Schreiber, and Meryl Streep in the remake. And the performances in both are just chef's kiss. What I personally love about these movies is how they took incredible casts and gave us two completely different takes on the same nightmarish scenario. Angela Lansbury is absolutely chilling as the manipulative mother in the original, and Meryl Streep brings that same energy to the remake. The influence these films have had on conspiracy theories is insane. People have been throwing around the term Manchurian Candidate for decades now whenever they think someone's being controlled by foreign powers. And here's what I found really interesting. The CIA actually admitted that creating a real Manchurian Candidate was one of the goals of their MK Ultra program. So these movies actually weren't just paranoid fantasies, they were hitting way too close to home. Both versions are expertly crafted thrillers that'll make you question whether anyone in power is really calling their own shots. At number 8 is Total Recall. And man, I think this movie's just perfect. Paul Verhoeven was absolutely on fire in the late 80s and early 90s, and this is probably his masterpiece. I mean, the man gave us RoboCop, Basic Instinct, Starship Troopers, and then this absolute banger that somehow manages to be hilariously cheesy and deeply philosophical at the same time. So the Brainwashing in Total Recall is fairly terrifying because it's not just about controlling someone. It's about completely erasing who they are and replacing them with someone else. Arnold's character Douglas Quaid goes to the company called Recall to get fake vacation memories implanted in his brain, but something goes wrong and he discovers his entire life might be a lie. Turns out he might actually be a secret agent named Hauser, whose memories were wiped and replaced with this boring construction worker persona. What I just love about this movie is that Verhaven deliberately made it so you can never really know what's real. The whole thing could be a memory implant gone wrong, or it could be all happening for real. The movie even has a scene where a doctor tries to convince Quaid that he's still in the chair at Recall, trapped in his own mind. And if you think about it, that scene's terrifying because it makes perfect sense. And here's what's crazy. Scientists have actually figured out how to implant false memories in mice using lasers and brain implants, just like in this movie. So this isn't just science fiction anymore, it's science fact. The film perfectly captures that nightmare scenario of not being able to trust your own memories, your own identity, or even your own experiences. Plus, it's got some of the best practical effects ever put to screen, and Arnold delivering classic one-liners like,
"Get your ass to Mars."
Just avoid the 2012 remake. That film actually belongs on Mars.
It shouldn't exist.
Coming in at number 7 is They Live. I gotta be honest, John Carpenter is one of the all-time greats, but I don't think he gets nearly the respect he deserves. And this movie is the perfect example of why. It's got the late, great Rowdy Roddy Piper in his breakout acting role, and honestly, he's fantastic in this. This is the movie your drunk uncle brings up every Thanksgiving when he starts talking about lizard people running the government, and you know what? He's not entirely wrong to love it. The Brainwashing in They Live is absolutely genius because it's hiding in plain sight. These skull-faced aliens have taken over Earth, and they're using mass media to pump out subliminal messages that keep humans docile and obedient. When Piper puts on those special sunglasses, suddenly every billboard says obey. Every magazine screams consume. And dollar bills literally read, "This is your God." The aliens are running a massive mind control operation through TV, radio, and advertising to keep people asleep while they strip the planet bare. And what I think makes this movie so good is how Carpenter turned what could have been a cheesy B movie into this biting satire of consumer culture.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
The aliens represent the ruling class who are literally feeding off regular people while keeping them distracted with mindless entertainment and materialism. It's funny, it's corny as hell, but it's also genuinely creepy and way more relevant today than it was in 1998. Plus, it gave us one of the greatest fight scenes in movie history when Piper tries to force his friend to put on the glasses. The movie's pure John Carpenter magic, part horror, part action, part social commentary, and completely fucking memorable. At number 6, we have Videodrome. This is where David Cronenberg really shows us what the future of brainwashing looks like. James Woods gives an absolutely brilliant performance as Max Red, the sleazy TV station owner who thinks he's found the next big thing in entertainment, a brutal snuff show called Videodrome. But what he doesn't realize is that the show itself is a weapon. The brainwashing in Videodrome's pure nightmare fuel because it's literally rewiring people's brains through television. The Videodrome signal carries a hidden frequency that gives viewers malignant brain tumors, which then cause them to hallucinate and become programmable. Max starts seeing his TV come alive, his hand turning into a flesh gun, and most memorably, a VCR slot opening up in his chest where mind control cassettes get inserted. It's like someone took the idea of television rots your brain and made it literally true. And what I think makes this movie so disturbing is how Cronenberg predicted our current media landscape 40 years ago. The film's philosopher Brian Oblivion, based on media theorist Marshall McLuhan, says television is reality and reality is less than television. And honestly, look around today and tell me that's not exactly where we are. The prosthetics in this movie are absolutely incredible. The legendary Rick Baker's work on the flesh technology is some of the best body horror ever put on screen. Cronenberg created this twisted world where media consumption becomes literal physical consumption, where watching the wrong thing can literally change your brain chemistry and turn you into someone else's puppet. It's brilliant, it's gross, and it's way too relevant for comfort. Coming in at number 5 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And personally, this is hands down my favorite MCU movie. I think it's only gotten better with age, and honestly, it feels more relevant today than when it came out. The late, great Robert Redford is phenomenal as Alexander Pierce, easily one of the best villains in the entire MCU. The man came out of acting retirement just to be in this movie, and it's one of his final on-screen roles. The brainwashing in this film is absolutely heartbreaking because it's not just about creating a weapon, it's about destroying someone's soul. Bucky Barnes gets captured by Hydra after falling from that train, and they spend decades turning him into the perfect assassin. They wipe his memory over and over again, use trigger words to activate him like he's a goddamn computer program, and then freeze him between missions so he doesn't age or remember anything. And the worst part, he's aware of what he's doing but can't stop himself. He eventually tells Tony Stark, "I remember all of them," when asked about the people he's killed. And what I think makes this movie so good is how it shows that the real enemy isn't some alien invasion or mystical threat. It's the people you trust. Pierce doesn't look like a monster, he looks like a respected government official. Nowadays, it's probably the same thing, which makes him way more terrifying than any costume villain. The action sequences are S tier, the political thriller elements feel completely authentic, and Sebastian Stan's performance as Bucky is just incredible. You can see the pain in his eyes when he starts remembering who Steve is. This movie proved that superhero films could be legitimate thrillers that tackle real themes about surveillance, government overreach, and what happens when the people protecting you become the ones you need protection from. Coming in at number 4 is The Ipcris File. And this movie is an absolute underrated gem that deserves way more love than it gets. The legendary Michael Caine's performance as Harry Palmer's brilliant. He created this working class spy who's the complete opposite of James Bond. Where Bond gets fancy gadgets and exotic locations, Palmer has to sign for his gun and takes the bus to work. It's genius. And the brainwashing in this movie is legitimately terrifying and way ahead of its time. Palmer gets kidnapped and thrown into what they call the programming box, which is this cube surrounded by film projectors that blast him with flashing lights and electronic music that pulses to match his brainwaves. It's called Ipcris, which stands for Induction of Psychoneurosis by Conditioned Reflex Under Stress.
What the fuck did you just say to me?
Say that 3 times fast. The villain even brags about how much more advanced this is than old school torture. The Gestapo and MVD used to beat a man for months to get him to this stage. That's old-fashioned and crude. What makes Palmer's resistance so brilliant is that he fights back by inflicting pain on himself with a rusty nail, repeating his own name and focusing on his identity to keep him from being reprogrammed. The movie shows his brainwaves on an EEG machine as the villains try to sync the torture to his brain patterns. It's like a nightmarish preview of virtual reality gone wrong. And the film basically invented the psychedelic brainwashing sequence that every other movie's copied afterwards. Critics at the time didn't get it. They called it a sadistic circorama, but now we can see how revolutionary it was. Michael Caine's absolutely fantastic as this everyman spy who survives through sheer bloody-minded stubbornness rather than superhuman skills. I honestly think this movie deserves to be mentioned in the same breath as the classics. At number 3, I've put Dark City. This movie is proof that sometimes the best films are the ones nobody saw when they first came out. This absolute masterpiece was a complete box office bomb in 1998, making only $27 million worldwide on a $27 million budget. But here's the thing, it's way more popular now than it was 25 years ago, and for good reason. The brainwashing in Dark City is pretty mind-blowing because it happens to an entire city every single night. These creepy alien beings called the Strangers put everyone to sleep at midnight, then physically rearrange the architecture of the city while injecting people with new memories and identities. One night you're a cop, the next night you're a criminal, and you have no idea your whole life just got rewritten. They're running this massive experiment to figure out what makes humans tick by constantly shuffling our memories around like a deck of cards. And what I love so much about this movie is that it came out a year before The Matrix and basically did everything first. Both films are about questioning reality. Both have protagonists who develop powers the bad guys have. The Matrix literally reused sets from Dark City when they filmed at the same Australian studio. But while The Matrix became a cultural phenomenon, Dark City got forgotten. The movie's creative, gorgeous, creepy as hell, and endlessly rewatchable. Alex Proyas created this noir nightmare that looks like German Expressionism had a baby with Blade Runner. Roger Ebert was one of the few critics who got it right away, and he loved it so much he recorded a DVD commentary for it, something he only did for 5 other films in his entire career. This movie deserved so much better than it got, but thankfully time has been kind to it. It's a genuine cult classic that gets better every time you watch it. At number 2 is the Kubrick masterpiece, A Clockwork Orange. Holy shit, this movie's something else. This is Stanley Kubrick at his most twisted and brilliant, giving us some of the most detestable characters to ever grace the silver screen. Malcolm McDowell's Alex DeLarge is simultaneously charming and absolutely horrifying. A character you somehow find yourself rooting for even though he's a complete monster. The brainwashing in this movie's the Ludovico technique, and it's nightmare fuel. They strap Alex to a chair, hold his eyes open with metal clamps, and force him to watch violent films while pumping him full of nausea-inducing drugs. The goal is to create such a powerful aversion to violence that he literally gets sick just thinking about hurting someone. And what's fucked up is that it actually works, but it also strips away his free will completely, turning him into what the prison chaplain calls a clockwork orange, something that looks natural but is actually mechanical. This movie's not an easy watch, though I've seen it far more times than I care to admit. It's a fever dream that takes the wildest twists and turns, especially that absolutely batshit third act where Alex's victims become his tormentors. McDowell's performance is legendary. He improvised singing Singing in the Rain during the brutal home invasion scene, and Kubrick loved it so much he kept it in. The guy actually scratched his corneas during the eye clamp scenes because the doctor was more worried about delivering his lines than doing his actual job. The influence this movie's had on cinema is undeniable. It was so controversial that Kubrick himself pulled it from British theaters for 27 years after copycat crimes and death threats against his family. The set design, the dialogue and nadsat slang, Kubrick's direction, everything about this movie is perfection, even when it's showing you the most disturbing shit imaginable. It's a masterpiece that dares to ask whether it's better to choose evil than to have good forced upon you. And at number 1 in the top spot, we have Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And this is a movie that's been one of my personal favorites since I first saw it in the theaters in 2004. This film might just be the most creatively heartbreaking movie ever made about what it's like to move on from a long-term relationship. Michel Gondry and Charlie Kaufman created something truly special here, a movie that's simultaneously devastating and hopeful. So the brainwashing in this movie is completely different from everything else on this list because it's voluntary and it's about love. Joel and Clementine go to Lacuna Inc. to have their memories of each other surgically erased after a painful breakup. The technicians map their memories using personal objects, then literally delete them from their brains while they sleep. But here's the genius part. As Joel's memories get erased in reverse chronological order, he starts remembering why he fell in love with Clementine in the first place. And in that moment, he desperately tries to hide her in memories where she doesn't belong. In my opinion, this is hands down one of Jim Carrey's best, most subdued performances. Michel Gondry actually asked Carrey to stay depressed for a year and a half before filming because he wanted that raw emotional vulnerability on screen. The man delivers this broken, introspective performance that's miles away from his usual comedy work. I think everything about this movie's perfect. The writing is astounding, the visuals are incredible, while maintaining that indie film feel, and it manages to be both depressing and uplifting at the same time. The practical effects are beautiful, the dialogue feels completely real, and the ending when they decide to try again, even knowing they'll probably hurt each other, that's just pure fucking poetry. This is an absolute masterpiece about memory, love, and whether it's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. And there you have it, the 10 best movies about brainwashing of all time. From Get Out's terrifying sunken place to Eternal Sunshine's voluntary memory erasure, we've covered everything from government mind control programs to alien subliminal messaging. And what I think's crazy is how relevant these movies feel today, when you've got real-life programs like MKUltra, social media algorithms designed to manipulate your behavior and conspiracy theories everywhere you look. I think these films hit way too close to home. Whether it's the Manchurian Candidate's sleeper agents, Videodrome's brain tumors through television, or They Live's hidden alien messages, these movies all seem to tap into that same fear. What if you're just a puppet and someone else is the puppet master? What if your thoughts, your memories, even your identity aren't really yours? The best part about these films, I think, is they're not just scary, they're smart. They make you think about free will, about the power of media, and about what makes you, you. And honestly, some of them are just fucking brilliant pieces of cinema that deserve way more love than they truly get. So if you're one of those who's into conspiracy theories, mind-bending plots, or just want to question everything about reality, go check out these movies. Start with Eternal Sunshine if you want your heart broken. Watch They Live if you want to feel paranoid about billboards. Or if you've put it off, finally take that dive into A Clockwork Orange if you want to be disturbed for real. speaks. Now I'm gonna turn it over to you. What'd you think about the list? Did I miss any of your favorites? Let me know in the comments below. And if this video scratched that conspiracy theory itch, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the weird, wild world of cinema. Trust me, there's plenty more where this came from. Until next time, keep questioning everything. Just maybe don't put on any mysterious sunglasses you find lying around. As always, the opinions in this video are mine and mine alone, but what do I know? I'm but a mere jackass. I'll try to do better next time. Catch you later, friends.
Don't know shit. I'm just a jackass of all trades.